Welcome back to Chemistry Lab. Today's topic, hydrates. Hydrates are compounds in the solid phase that have water molecules attached to them. One example is copper sulfate pentahydrate. We put the little dot here to indicate the water molecules that are attached. It's a 1:5 ratio of copper sulfate to water. The entire compound is referred to as a hydrate. The part without the water, the copper 2 sulfate, is referred to as the anhydrous salt, where anhydrous means without water. The 5 represents a ratio of 5 waters to 1 unit of the copper 2 sulfate anhydrous salt. We can look at that ratio to calculate the mass percent of water in the compound, in a hydrate. Percent is part divided by whole times 100. So in this case, the part would be the mass of water. The whole would be the mass of the entire hydrate. If we assume 1 mole of hydrate, then we can use the molar mass to calculate the mass of water divided by the mass of the hydrate. The molar mass of water is 18 grams per mole, and there are 5 of them. So 5 times 18 grams per mole would represent the mass of the water. The mass of the hydrate, I looked this up ahead of time, is 249.67 grams per mole. That works out to be 36% mass of water. So that means that 36% of the mass of this compound is due to water. Different hydrates will have different mass percents of water. Now we could turn this around and look at how knowing the percent of water will allow us to go back to the number of water molecules that are in the hydrate compared to the number of anhydrous units. If we assume now 100 grams of compound, then we would say that 36 grams would be due to water. And we can take that and convert it to moles to get the molar ratio of water to anhydrous salt. So for every 1 mole of water, there are 18 grams. That's 2 moles of water. And if we take the rest of the mass, if we're assuming there's 100 grams, then 100 minus 36 would be the number of grams of copper 2 sulfate. That's 64 grams of copper 2 sulfate. And if we use the molar mass, for every 1 mole, we have 159.6 grams. That's the molar mass of copper 2 sulfate, and that results in 0.401 moles. To get the molar ratio, divide each by the smallest number of moles, which is 0.401. And what you get is a 1:5 ratio. Right? This number is equal to 1, this number is equal to 5, and that takes you back here, where we have a 1:5 ratio in terms of numbers of moles. In the lab, you're going to take a hydrate and weigh out a certain amount of it, put it in a crucible, and then heat the hydrate so that you drive off the water. You're going to weigh it after you heat it up, and you'll take the difference in mass before and after heating, and that will give you the mass of water. You'll use the values that you measure in lab to calculate the mass percent of water, And then with information that's given to you in the lab manual, you should be able to determine which in a list of compounds is your unknown compound, your unknown hydrate. Don't forget to complete the pre-lab questions and have a great lab.